Well, good afternoon, Southwest Florida. Thank you for joining in to another live broadcast straight from Solar Inspired. The last couple of weeks, we've went over hurricane preparation. We've also gone over some of the battery backup storage, a lot of the panels and things that we use as well too. And we got to hear some great testimonials and some questions from some of our viewers as well too. Today, we're going to be going over some financing options and some installation processes. Dan, what kind of finance options are there available for our viewers?
Well, financing is a really interesting question because there's lots of different financing options available. And, we always have to remember there is nothing free in life. There just isn't. So anytime you're financing something, somebody is paying for it. So, the Federal Reserve sets the prime interest rates for when people borrow, for when big companies and big organizations borrow money. And then banks add a little bit more fees onto that, and finance companies add more fees. So if you look and the prime rate's at 5, 5.5, and then you go, oh, I want to look at a mortgage, it's 6, 6.5. Oh, I want, a car loan, maybe it's 8, 9. Or I look at my credit cards and they're at 18 or 21% interest. And that has to do with how the product is secured and what your credit records are, because finance companies are there to make some money. They borrow the money to loan the money to you. So all of this comes into the financing picture. So when you're looking at financing, you have several different things that you can look at. You can look at the length of financing. The longer you borrow money, the less your payments are. The more interest you will pay over time because you're paying for a longer period of time. You also have to look at how long you're going to pay for it. You also have to look at your interest rate, and that's really where it becomes key. Having an artificially low interest rate may seem good up front. Oh, I can borrow it at 2%, 1%. You're like, wow, that's really cheap money. That means the cost of that money has been hidden somewhere else in the price. So you are ultimately paying for a higher price for the item than you could be paying cash. This is okay because sometimes we don't have cash available, and sometimes if you do have cash available, the question is that money making you more money in your investments than it is to borrow against it? So solar is one of those long-term investments. It's got a lifespan of at least 25 years. So when you're looking at it going, hey, it's going to be producing money every year by saving me my offset of my electric bill. So you have to really kind of take a look careful at the numbers. The finance packages that I like to look at for our customers are basically what I call zero dealer fees. That means me as a dealer, I'm not paying any money to borrow that money. I don't have to mark it up. They're just going to charge you the interest rate that they're going to charge you. I have one vendor that's charging right now around 8%. I think it's 7.9 or 7.75. It's right around 8%. I round numbers a little bit just to be easy to speak. And then I have another program where they're offering it at 6.5% plus a 2% origination fee. That means they take the total 2%. That's your first initial charge, and then the rest is at 6.5% over 10 to 15 years. So you do find the shorter your finance terms, usually the lower your rates, because they just don't know what the rates are going to be long term. And so, typically you want to look for what, if you can take out a mortgage rates are going to be your best rates because it's secured against your home. And that's the one that's at 8% is typically secured against your home. The one at 6.5 is a UCC, it's secured against the equipment. The advantages are, of finance is it reduces your payment. You have no out-of-pocket costs. The downside is one day you may sell your property. So if you pay to get an artificially low rate, you want to be able to use that rate for the longest period of time, because when you go to move that to your next customer, it's going to be a lot of money, and even though it's at a low rate, it may be hard to sell. So it's when you're going to sell the property and you finance, you have to think about that towards the future. And so those are the types of things that you want to take a look at for financing.
So even with all the financing options that are out there and stuff, the solar or the battery backup choices that they would make at their home would still be a good passive investment for their home?
No, absolutely. Because you're paying interest, you're going, your return on investment is not as good. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have a good payback. So you may go from a 7-year payback to a 10 or 12-year payback. And so your payback just shifts.
But also you said you can get like a 25-year warranty, so even then you're still getting a very good long life out of your system.
Well, one of the things that you have to realize is what we call the time value of money. $1 today is not worth $1 a year from now. Right now, $1 today is only worth, I think inflation's at 10%. Maybe it's at 5%. I'm not sure.
It's there.
I know when I go to the grocery store, I go, wow. I know when I pump gas, I go, wow. So the things that I buy, I'm seeing inflation. How they calculate it, the government, who knows what they're doing. But let's even say it's 5% inflation. So that means that dollar today is now worth 95 cents a year from now. And it is now worth 89 cents a year, 2 years from now. So it goes down in value over time. So what's nice about your investment is when you invest in solar, the value of what you're paying, because remember, your cost of electricity goes up each year a few percent. So, unscrupulous companies will tell you that it's 4%. I like to be around 2% to be conservative, 2 to 2.5%. We went years without the price changing and then suddenly massive changes. I just know I always look over a 20-year period. What was electricity 20 years ago? What is it today? Divide that number by 20, and that's my 2 to 2.5% rise. So I put that in to be conservative. So your cost, if you don't have solar, your cost of electricity is going to rise 2.5%, and the money that you've got stored up because you've saved is going down 0.5% or 5% each year. So investing, you get a pretty good return when you look at it for a time investment over time. And that's the hard thing. It's a hard concept to grasp, the time value of money. It's just, assets you buy today, some are appreciating. You buy a house, it goes up in value. You buy a car, it goes down in value. These are depreciating, but your money in the bank is worth less every year. Inflation eats your value of your money. And so that's why it's, when you invest, you have to invest, if you're investing, you're making 8% and inflation is 5%, you're only actually making 3% on your money. So, they've got programs on the internet. You Google time value of money and it asks you, the present rate, your interest factors, your payment factors, and it gives you what things are worth. And that's why, if you want to retire as a millionaire, start saving now. You don't have to save a lot now, but the longer you take, the more you have to save. So that's why I recommend everybody, put 10% of your paycheck away every month, always, and that's your savings for retirement. And then live off the rest. And by the time you're ready to retire, you'll have a huge nest egg because it compounds over time.
Well, it sounds like that we are very well equipped to help you with any of your financial questions or anything else that you may have. And if you want, you can go ahead and hit the comment link right there on the Facebook Live and even ask us some questions while we're here. Moving on, some of the installation processes that we have that are involved with advanced solar. You want to talk about that?
Well, I think the big change that we've done recently is the change in the rail that we're using. And this is something that most people don't realize when they're buying a solar system. They're looking at the panels, they're looking at the inverter, the rail and the mounts are kind of just, and the wiring are just kind of an offset. We've switched to the new Iron Ridge Air Rail. And there's a reason for doing that is it is what's called a wire channel. You can put your wire in that, and so the wire can rest in that channel along the solar system. So typically, most companies sell wire clips that they put in, and people use zip ties too. Do they last for 25 years? You hope. If they're just using zip ties, they're not going to last for 25 years. And over time, when they break or we have a bad storm and more stress is put onto them, they break, your wires start to drag, they hang on the roof, they rub, you get a short in the system. With the new air rail, you put the wires in the channels, you put the zip wrap so it can't come out of it, you put the little clips on it, it holds it all in place. And so when I saw that development, not just that it's got a channel, this has been UL listed, which means it's been tested to be a wire management channel. There's special terminologies that are used in the electrical industry, and it reads that UL listing. And so this is why we like it, because now we can take the wires and put them in. So wire management is probably the biggest thing that we're now focused on, improving to get long-term better results out of solar systems.
And not only to mention that, though, being out there in the field as an installer myself, one of the best things about having this with wire management is it's Florida. You're going to get squirrels, you're going to get rats, you're going to get raccoons. On the other coast, you're going to get iguanas and who knows what else. But with the wire management, without that wire just hanging and falling down, because, again, the Florida environment just destroys components. But with the airlock system or the rails that we have in play, that is safely held up away and not ever having to worry about to degrade, fall down, touch the roof, or allow any of those other elements to, how would you like to say, interfere with your PV system that's up on the roof.
We've been installing, top-notch solar systems for a while. So as you're out and you're going to seminars and trade shows, you see new products that come along that answer the needs out in the marketplace, and we've adapted to them.
Absolutely.
I was at a trade show and I saw a new combiner box that went up on the roof, and I looked at it and I looked at the supplier and said, "Are these stainless steel screws in the lids of this?" He goes, "Oh no, they're not stainless steel." I said, "Why would anybody touch that?" I go, yeah. It's right to his face. I'm like, "Look, you've got a fundamental flaw on this product, because it's not a stainless screw. What's going to happen is the installer's going to put it in, it's going to tighten it down, pass inspection, everybody's going to be happy. 10 years from now, there's going to be a problem. Somebody's going to have to come out and do work, and that screw is going to be rusted away. Now what?"
Now you've got a lot of problems, especially with the integrity.
So using stainless steel screws for part of the hardware, making sure you don't have dissimilar metals, making sure all your metals are bonded together. These are all little tiny tricks that you have, not tricks, or requirements, but
standards.
Right, but these are real easy ones for the homeowners not to see. And so, yes, that now adds, 10 or 15 cents to the cost of this box. So I'm like, but now you can sell this box. I'm telling you, about a month later, they went out, they called me back, said, "Thank you for the advice," and they switched to stainless. They got it because they got the feedback. So we work with, one of the things is we've been doing this a long time, and we work with our manufacturers and our vendors, and we give them hard, actual feedback. We bring them in and say, "Hey, here's a problem that you need to fix." And we don't just, tell our distributors. We talk with the reps. When we're at meetings, you're meeting, they have conferences, and you get to meet the vice presidents and the presidents and the heads of engineering. And you take them aside and you really read them the riot act of what's wrong with their product. They know what's right about it. You tell them, "Hey, this is a shortfall. Here's a problem." They take it back. They work on those things. They want that feedback because they want to improve their product.
Yeah, real life applications and some of the trials and tribulations that they have to go through with designing and bringing out new stuff. That's absolutely correct. And one of the best things about Advanced Solar here is you can hear from our CEO. We are educated, we're professional, and we're the standard in the solar business out there. When we give a product to our customers out there, we want to make sure it's going to be the best and it's going to last, because again, this is your investment. You want to make sure it saves you money and doesn't cost you money. And we get that a lot around the areas around here, having to rescue some of the people. But we'll get into that some other time. Is there anything else you want to talk about, some of our installation process?
Well, it's, we come out and we do a hard survey, and we look things because we don't want to be surprised when we're coming in and the engineering doesn't match our survey. So we spend the time, and we don't send out just some average guy. It's one of our top people is doing the survey.
Absolutely.
To make sure that we're looking for everything. And if we discover an issue or a problem, we're able to go to them and, hey, we need to alter what we're doing because you have this issue or this issue. So the surveys are critical in doing it and making sure our people have the right equipment to do the job.
Absolutely. The system assessments and everything else that we go out there and do is to make sure that the customer is taken care of and they understand what they've got.
And we do a walkthrough at the end. We do multiple walkthroughs. Our crew finishes, they do a walkthrough with the homeowner. We come in, we meet the inspector, we'll do another walkthrough with the homeowner. We want the homeowner to understand how that system works, how to turn it on, how to turn it off, how to get service on it if there's an issue, because that's critical, long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we're here locally, and we're not going to just put the system in, throw a backpack on our back and hit the railroads. We're here to stay. You give us a call, we're coming back out there to make sure that any issues that you have are taken care of. We take pride in customer service here in Advanced Solar. And if you became part of this family, for those who are already part of the family, you know that we're here to help you no matter what.
I take phone calls. Customers call, they want to talk to me. They're always welcome to talk to me. I'll talk to anybody, whether you're buying something, you've got a general question, I'll sit and, try. I want to educate people on our industry and what we do.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Do we have any questions in the chat? Anybody have any questions in regards to financing or the installation process? While we wait here, we want to thank you for joining. I actually had a question, but you already answered it, but it was impactful. A lot of questions that I see when I'm scanning through social media, a lot of people want to know their break-even point. How do we calculate that? Is that something that you can?
Yeah, I can go over that. So you have your initial cost of your system.
Okay.
So most people, you have your system, and then you get a tax rebate. So then you take your system cost and you minus your tax rebate.
Okay.
Then your payback is basically how you do your time value of money formula.
Okay.
You go, what is the interest rate presently that you're paying, or what you would earn on your money? You look, how much is the cost of electricity that you're producing? How much is that valued at today and over a long period of time? And that's why when I talk about 2 and 2.5%, when somebody comes and says you're going to make $500,000 on the solar system, it's because they put a 4% value on it. I don't think that's a real number, more 2.5%. So you put that number in, and it basically does a graph of you start off here and how much your payments are over time, and when you cross the break-even point and you start to become profitable. It changes on every install because some installs are more expensive, a tile roof, 2-story, 3-story on the water, but a basic shingle roof is about an 8-year payback if you were paying cash.
Another question that I wanted to pose was, a lot of people talk about solar leasing. Can you explore, is that something that customers should consider or not consider?
A solar lease is only good for the company that's selling.
Or the power company?
Power company, if they have one.
Yeah.
Leases are terrible investments. It's a way to hide the true costs of what actually is going on. And it makes you, oh, you don't own that system, we'll take care of it. What if they don't take care of it? Oh, now you stop making your payments and you're all sorts of headaches. It is when you do the math, and this is what happens is they come out and they hand you these math pages and they're all confusing. But if you go on to a site that talks about investments and doing things, time value of money, you will see that leases just, why leases work is the company that sells the product takes the whole value of the lease, gets the tax credit, then depreciates the value of the system for his taxes or her taxes. So they get to depreciate it. You as a homeowner don't get to depreciate it. Businesses do. So they depreciate the value of the solar system. Doesn't affect how you're making it. That's where they take that paper and they sell it off to an investor going, this customer is paying me $300 a month and they're going to pay me that for the next 20 years. They sell it off as an investment. And so nobody holds on to leasing payments. And then they are there to manage that system. And if it breaks, they're supposed to come out and fix it. We'll see how well that works over a long period of time.
It doesn't sound like it does work, sir.
How does that affect people that, let's say a customer got into a solar lease, they've made that commitment, but now they want to sell their home. How does that play out?
Well, what you'll find is...
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
Yeah.
When you sign a contract with a lease, it's a long contract. Read every paragraph. There is a paragraph that says, oh, I want to terminate. I can either let the new customer assume the lease, which is very, very difficult, or no, you've got to buy out the lease and close it out. And then they put the value of the system that they determined the value to be. And suddenly you've got to pay that out.
Or you have a lien on your home.
Or, well, it's cloudy, it's hard to now sell. So it creates impediments to selling the house.
Wow.
So financing does the same thing, except for financing, usually you can transfer it because it's secured against the property, but most people don't want to transfer it. And so you have to move that financing and pay it off out of your proceeds of selling the house. But remember, you should get the value of your solar system, but that's why if you're buying a system with a no dealer fee, then you're paying a cash price for your system. If you've bought down the interest rate, you've got a big chunk of money still owed. And that's the difference when you go to sell. Believe me. So
that is boom.
A $30,000 cash system is now a $50,000 or $60,000 finance system, and at 2%. And then you go to sell, you decide in a year, oh, you got to transfer, you got to sell, and you go, oh, I want $60,000 for the system because that's what I owe to the company. And they go, oh, well, wait a second here, it's only worth $30,000, and you go, oh, but you can assume the payment and not have an electric bill. And the buyer goes, I could do that, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And,
why?
and so now you've got that differential for that low payment because you bought that interest rate down. If you're going to be there 25 years, 2.5%, it's not a bad deal.
Sounds like everybody's making money but you.
Yeah.
It's you've got to think about it long term. And that's why zero dealer fees, then you can sell it, you get the value. When you sell your house, value that solar system. It's producing money. Yeah. It's worth a value. It's, a 10-year-old solar system still has a significant value because it's producing power. So you want to make sure that when you're selling your house that you go, oh, wait a second here. I don't, my utility bill is $50 a month, not $450. So that's $350 that they can make, that they don't have to make, that they can qualify for their mortgage payment. That has a value. You can put it in and time value it and say, okay, here's how much my solar system's worth when you're selling your property to add to your value. Wow. Because if you have a high efficiency air, because you want to take the values that you're investing to be an energy efficient house when you're selling it, because the new homeowner is not like, hey, look at my location, look at where my lot is. It's, oh, this is how much it costs to operate my house. That's part of the value of your house.
Yeah.
One more question. So should customers, people that are interested in getting solar electric with a battery backup, should they be leery if a solar company is offering zero down payment? Is that something to be concerned about or not?
Well, most, it all depends on the financing.
Okay.
And so, ask to see the paperwork. Okay. Anybody that's selling something that sounds too good to be true, it is. It is too good to be true. There are no free lunches. Just remember that. These are all things we learned in kindergarten. Yeah. This is not new stuff. When they come out and they say, hey, it's never going to cost you anything, of course it's going to cost you something. Here's your monthly payment. Here are things, there are always things that are going to add costs to what you're going to do, and just be aware of that. There is nothing free that you pay one time and there's never going to cost you again.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a way, and usually when you read the fine print, you will see where it is. So when you get, hey, zero down, yeah, if you're doing a finance job, a lot of times you don't need to make a payment. The finance companies all have good programs where they start it and how they amortize it when you get your federal tax credit to pay down the loan, or you use it for other purposes. That's your choice. Pay down the loan. They'll re-amortize it. It'll either lower your payment or keep a high payment, pay it off sooner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you used to take a 30-year loan and make double payments to make it a 15-year loan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, try to cut it down.
And that way, if you ran short a month, you could always make that smaller payment. But that was kind of the deal to get ahead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just look at where you're going to spend that money. Are you spending it on a latte, or are you spending it on battery backup?
That's true.
That's that's it's how you invest your money. I like a good latte. I'll make it at home.
Hey,
That
like
was a
good steak
game changer
dinner.
for me, I swear.
Yeah.
I used to spend probably hundreds of dollars going to Starbucks every day.
Yes.
And now I get my own Starbucks made at home. How I like it.
Well, there you go. You're saving money.
Saving money.
Solar is an investment that
Yes.
has a return.
Yes.
And so, things that you can do to maximize your return. So now it's not always buying the cheapest solar system, because remember, when you buy cheap and you go, wow, they're a couple $1,000s less. How are they a couple $1,000s less?
That is
Why?
correct, yeah.
I'm not making zillions of dollars in the solar industry. I'm making the same money I've always made.
Uh-huh.
It's just, my people get paid well.
Mm-hmm.
We buy good top quality products. These all have costs. So it makes us a little bit more expensive than some people that are out of town coming in and going, yeah, we can put that system in. Do they have somebody that's going to run out to your house and take a look if there's a problem?
Are they subcontractors?
We're not, and cutting corners seems to be one of the biggest things in a lot of the other companies that are out there. We show up to some of the jobs and it's just like, wow, we know you spent a lot of money on this, and the products that they use, they're either rusted out because they're not stainless steel, they're either locking up, or they didn't use the rails with the wire management. They're hanging down on the roof. They're weather beaten. They're rodent beaten. There's just a lot of different things that if they spent that little bit of extra money, they could have saved that much more money on the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those type of things. When you are investing into solar, make sure you go with something good that's going to last you a long time.
Yeah, it's designed for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And do we get any comments or any questions yet?
I don't think we have any questions right now. Anybody have any comments, questions, concerns? If not, I think that's pretty much a wrap. Huh?
Well, that's okay. I want to thank everybody who did tune in today to be educated and well informed.
Yeah.
Because out of this, I definitely got a lot of information out of you, and some of the good questions that we had. And I definitely feel like anybody who's out there who's looking for any type of advice or needs some type of guidance in where to go when they're looking for an investment in solar, give Advanced Solar a call, because I can promise you the only thing you're going to lose is your power bill.
Yeah,
Love
second quotes are always a good thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
With
Second
a quality company that's been in business for 40 years, that's local. There are a few good contractors in the state, but there's always that saying, everybody hates the contractors in the state. They took the lowest bid, didn't you? That's why.
Yeah.
We've been along here, or we've been here for over 40 years. So that if that doesn't tell you a lot, just give us a call so we can tell you the rest.
239-939-7446. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next week for our 4th episode.
There you go.
Take care, guys. Thank you.